you know, fucking Bill Russell is better than Michael Jordan, you know? It's like, yeah. And so, to be fair, there's some old heads that think that way, but maybe that's not the best example I could have used. There's a couple other examples I could have used, but it's like stuff like that. It's like either you're gonna fully run the results height, right? Or we're gonna actually have some nuance and like look at the results and put them in context. And it's like does Epic Will have a run where he was like just undoubtedly the best fragger, like unkillable machine, like a Miro had in like the free pre run? No. And like he, you know, I feel like if we're like looking at things at what they actually are, rather than just like, oh yeah, well he won $1 million at World Cup, you know, and to be fair, that was impressive. I won't take that away from him. That was impressive. But even then, it's like, was he the best player there? No, because you'd say Booga was, right? So like those people more impressive, and so like, you know what I mean? Yeah, that's just how I feel about it anyway.
Yeah.
But I'm a hater.
It's so hard, bro. This is why the GOAT discussion is so impossible with the different regions. And then we finally got a fucking land with the best of the best in the world. And now we already have people saying it's Mickey. Like, it's just pisses me off so much, man. Last year was supposed to be the chance to do that. And then because they didn't fix observer lag, it still just like didn't count. And now this season, I mean, this year we're going to have the land. It's cool, but we don't have the land qualifiers. So like some of the small region teams who qualified from like season 1, like, would they be there? Like, should they be there? Like, I don't know. We'll see. But I disagree. I'm sorry, Thomas. I respect the commitment, but that was a bold take. I thought that I didn't think we were going to get any bold in the first take today, but damn. I mean, we did have Whale in chat. I will say, by the way, for the people watching who are watching after the fact or not watching in my stream, watching 11's YouTube, Whale has come in. My man's probably at the gym fucking smashing out of 305, but he did just say that he thinks it's debatable potentially, but it's hard because Mero didn't play World Cup. He backed you a bit more there. Whale was less humble than I thought he was going to be, which I kind of like.
I would hope he would be. To be fair, like, again, I hope Epic World disagrees with everything I say when I talk about this. I hope he does, because at least that to me like says a lot about like his confidence in playing and how he backs himself. Like, that's good. But yeah, I would disagree with that one. I appreciate it, my brother Thomason. I appreciate you, man.
Yeah.
Take care. I hope to see you on the show again.
Thank you.
That was a bold one. I'll be real. I did.
That was a bold one. That was a good one. Man, Mero's having to like try and like, dude, this is a tough podcast. You're trying to defend your like, you're gonna defend your like career of being one of those decorated players and not look like a dick right now. Like,
I'm like really defending my legacy. Like
that is mental.
2 out of 3 takes has been your legacy question. You're trying to be humble, but like not shit on people you're friends with. But be like,
I know.
Yo,
I love Epic Whale, but like,
So before we get the next caller in there, I do actually have a question for you, Mero, because I've seen a lot of people, you know, when we've done this show for a couple of weeks now, and we've had a lot of people bring in takes, and one that we've actually had a bunch of times, and I thought I'd wait till we got you on, and I should have done it in rapid fire, but I forgot. One thing that I see a lot of people say is, if Mero wasn't a controller player, he would be considered the undisputed GOAT, and it wouldn't be a question, but people have a bias towards controller players. Do you feel like that is a thing? Do you feel like people look at your career lesser only because you're a controller player?
I think that I agree with that in a way, because a lot of people will just say that like my best performances are when controller was broken. I mean, considerably yes, but at the same time, like it got nerfed and I was still winning. But then again, though, like it's hard to say a GOAT debate because everyone from EU is going to say Tayson. Everyone from NA is either going to say like Booga or this and this and that. Like it's hard to say. I think that in Fortnite there's eras. I think I've had my era. I think Booga's had his era. I think Tayson's had his era. Because I personally don't think, like, I'll be honest, I'm not going to be humble here. I'll be honest. That run where I won 3 FNCSs in a row, that first season, like Spidey season, there was nobody better than me. Like in that era, like normally I'm more humble about my FNCS wins, but in this time right there was nobody better than me. Any region, no one was better than me. But then there's times where it's like Tayson's the GOAT. And then there's times where Booga's playing crazy. And then Tayson's playing crazy. And then I have my time with globals. And then like I win globals and I win a cash cup right after. Like I'd say that part I was the best player. But then like Vino will come around, Queasy will come around, like I think there's eras in Fortnite. I mean, I guess there'll be a time I guess there'll be a time where, say, if I won like 2 more FNCSs, like I guess you'd have to just consider me the all-time. Or if Tayson won 2 more, or if Booga won 2 more, then you'd have to consider it. But right now, there's like so many eras of Fortnite where it's like my 3-peat, I was the GOAT. But then Queasy winning 6 out of 12, like they were the GOAT or GOATs. And then Booga, and then like, there's a whole bunch of
No,
but also to add on to it, playing as good as I did on controller for so long, I feel like people also forget that like me and Day playing, bro, like we didn't sit on a hill for Storm Surge. Like we played the most riskiest play style every grands, and it paid off. There was no Storm Surge.
Get killed,
people also misremember that. I think people always think you guys won 2 in a row when you actually was at first, 4th, and 1st, which again is super impressive too. You had 3 in a row, which were like really good placements.
Yeah.
I do want to say a couple things. I think firstly, there's a few people in the GOAT debate right now where if they win this next LAN, as long as the meta isn't Mickey Mouse, as long as it's like not crazy, like even if it's zone bias, it's 12 games, that should even out. If this LAN is good and people don't try to make excuses for why it's not, there's a few people, if they win, could maybe finally inch themselves into that GOAT debate of all time. But I think the error thing you did was right. I think there's different errors. I will say that if you didn't win globals or come second with Cooper, the controller bias I think would be worse because you would have most of your placements when controller was considered OP. But I think you've now gone the other end where there's like no controller players doing well and you still done well, which I think, in my opinion, if it's someone who follows comp and doesn't have bias, those should equal out. Yeah, you did really, really well when controller was great, but you've then placed insanely way above the controller average when it's bad. So I feel like those should equal out, in my opinion. Yeah, and the input just shouldn't really matter then. So
you can also like Fortnite's just the debates are just a game of bias. I think if Cammy and Seti would have won LAN or Pixie would have won LAN, bro, it wouldn't have been Mickey Mouse. But since NA won LAN and we pulled zones, it was Mickey Mouse. But then again, if like anybody on EU would have won, like anybody, like Tayson, I think Tayson was there, Cammy, anybody would have won. It wouldn't have been Mickey Mouse.
If you make the Mickey Mouse as well, Cammy said, like you said with the balloon strat, Cammy said like that was pretty Mickey Mouse the way Cammy said he won, but it was because they made it that way. Like they were smart, they figured out, and people could like pay that to them. But where Lagger was kind of like it just made it rough.
Okay, I'm gonna be very cheeky now before we get the next take in.
Very
cheeky.
Here we go.
This doesn't have to be a long conversation at all. But do you think if there were 6 more games, they catch up to you? Cammy Seti?
I think it'd be close. Bro, we were playing so good.
Don't say it.
We were playing so good. But the thing is, my argument with that is, though, we play better on zones we didn't get. Okay. That's my argument. So, yes, they probably would have pulled away because they're a consistency team. They're a 2-kill win, low ground consistency team. I'll say it. Everybody knows it.
Okay.
They also have more to work with. Like, we're working with Rumble where we have no metal. But on zones that pulled away from our POI, we played better. So it depends. Like I've played 12-game formats where I've won. So
that's true.
It depends. Like I can't dictate what 6 more games would have been like. You know what I'm saying? But I do think if they played as consistent as they did, they probably would have pulled away. But at the same time, I'm not saying that I didn't have a chance.
Okay, we're gonna stop drawing you out now. You don't have to fight to defend your career anymore here, man.
I'm fighting, man. I'm fighting for my life out here.
No, but you have fought. I think you have fought very well. I think if not anybody ever questioned like your career in some capacity, they could come here, watch this, and be like, you know what, fair enough. So I think this is good. This
hasn't happened to any of our guests either. I guess we haven't had someone that's in that true GOAT debate, like people like Queasy and stuff. But like, if we'd had like a Booger or Tayson on, maybe this would happen more. But like, I don't know if you watched that podcast, Mary. This doesn't happen a lot. Like, you're getting fucking grilled. This hasn't happened to any other pro we've had on, just defending their accomplishments.
I respect it.
But the thing is, I like how there is a debate. Like, I like how I think it makes Fortnite interesting. I think it's like sports players, everyone's like, oh, is Michael Jordan the GOAT? Is LeBron the GOAT? This, why? Like, I think it makes stuff like the game interesting. I think it makes it fun, more of a storyline, stuff like that. I think it makes it better for everybody.
For sure. I see that. All right, let's get the next call in. Let's do it. I think we got the next caller ready. What is your name and where are you calling from?
My name is Gamer Knight again, and I am from Philly.
Ooh.
Welcome back, Gamer Knight. What is your take?
My take is that the radio tower needs to be removed from comp because it gives an overpowered advantage to teams that go to it, and it's not doing its purpose of mid-game fights because all the teams get it uncon anyways.
What, the forecast towers?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, so are you specifically, can I like kind of push a little bit further before we talk about a game tonight? Is this like all mid-map objectives or specifically the forecast, or is that just this season? Is there any other you'd put in that list that kind of like fit into the same category?
I think Island's kind of the same way because teams started not to go for it because it was overpowered. It's just if it happened to be right under them, they would go for it. Kind of like the forecast towers.
Okay. Yeah.
Do you want to start with this one, Mira? What's your thoughts on this?
So the argument is that it's unfair advantage without promoting fights. The thing is, forecast tower, I could see why someone would say that. Like, we could argue some people's placements have been because they got a forecast tower every game, but you also have to know how to work around a forecast tower, and it depends. Sometimes the forecast tower gets fought for. Like, I could argue that Clicks and Vinos, like I said, I love both of them. They get it every game. Like, I'd say that is a bit unfair because no one's fighting for it. But I mean, who wants to fight Clicks and Vino? There's not many people in the region that are like, oh, let's go brawl it out with Clicks and Vino 12 games. Like, they definitely deserve it.
Ritual,
they
though,
deserve
man.
something like that.
Reed and Ritual have been fighting for their tower for fucking tooth and nail, winning it like every time, but every team's like, yo, I'm gonna go take on Reed and Ritual, their forecast tower. That one I don't get, but I do know what you mean. It is about earning it though, too.
Yeah, and I even think that Vino would agree with me here. Like, I'd say that, like, because Vino's very smart. He's very like humble about like, you know, what he has and like what he gets. Like, forecast tower, as many games as he gets it without any problems in a grand finals lobby. Technically, if you want to put it, it is kind of unfair because no one fights him for it. But then if someone were to fight him for it, then the argument wouldn't matter because then it would be fair since they win the fight. So it's dodgy. I think Island's fair. I think it rewards like players like flying on the island if you need more loot. And then there's always going to be two teams on island. Always. There's going to be more than that, honestly, because everyone just lands on the side of the brick and stuff to refarm. I think it's good for players that have like gone through hell in a game and you're like, man, I need to get out of this game somehow. And the only way is by fighting. And I think it's rewarding if they win that fight, they get a flag at least. Because the flag's not even that broken. Like, it's not going to win you the game. Forecast tower, it depends. It's like 50-50. You know, like Reet and them fight for it every game. But then Clicks and them have it for free every game. It's 50-50 because if someone were to fight Clicks, then it would be fair. So some aspects yes, some aspects no.
So good too as well though. The DMR, the guaranteed DMR, 2 Fizzberry jar, like Fizzberries and the bigs, like man, forecast is nuts for that right now. Yeah. I do think it depends on the meta too though. I 100% know where you're going from. I hate bunkers. I think bunkers are stupid as shit. I hate them. They annoy me. They just don't create exciting fights. And I guess it depends what the purpose of the mid-game objectives are. I don't think they're in any attempt to make the game more competitive from Epic. I think it's purely them trying to fix the boring mid-game issue, right? Like they're trying to make something that makes people fight in the mid-game or something to watch over. Caches, I think were great for that. I think caches was super fair. I'll throw that to you, Mero 11. We like caches. Were they good? Like them? I thought they were good.
I think they were too strong.
I think they were too strong. They were too easy.
Strong for the legendary slurps, but I think if they made it like actually scale properly with the time to get to them, kind of dumb that you got the slurps regardless. I always thought that was dumb. Like maybe if you get there when it's blue, you get minis. Get there when it's purple, you get bigs, and maybe if you get there when it's epic or above, you got like a Fizzberry jar or something. I think that would be kind of cool way to play it.
It was just too easy to manipulate. Like you could manipulate a cache and get one every game. So like that's kind of unfair because some people couldn't do that. Like teams like on certain edges of the map didn't have a team to mirror. So like I do like the aspect though of you only get slurps when it's like gold or purple. I do like that though. I think that would have been way better.
Where I stand with this is this feels like someone who's like watched Clicks and Veno like stomp with the forecast for like a couple weeks and is like, you know what, I don't like this. This is not unfair. And maybe that's not the case for you, but how I feel about this is, I think the fact that we see different teams in different regions get the forecast is like proof that it's not like it promotes fighting, and that's why the best teams get it free because they're the best fighters and nobody wants to fight them. So I do agree that it's probably like too easy to condition for some people, right? It's like because in EU, Chapentini get it and they're like nitro drone, right? Whereas like in NA, it's like the Snooty team gets
crazy.
Yeah,
I think if you were to actually like go by like timings of how long it takes to loot a place versus get there, I think Pleasant should be the team that gets it every time, but like that never happens, right? Because
They're
teams
just
around.
not fighting. Yeah.
Right.
They're just
So
not,
it's
they
like,
just don't want to fight Clicks and Veno.
So it's like ultimately it's weird because it does promote fighting because that's why the best fighters get it free, like because people don't want to fight them. When we add like island and stuff into there, that's why I feel like it's as well we're maybe getting a bit too crazy with it. I was actually having a conversation today with or yesterday with Coach Harry. Shout out to Coach Harry about island, and he sort of came to the conclusion that island's probably actually even too strong. It's probably not as bad now because you can't like guarantee you get it every game like you could in like previous seasons of metas. But like
Ocus Bucky season, bro, hit the rift, fly straight onto it, and just like fight it every game.
Island is like so good if you can play with it consistently. Like that's a genuine strategy to like find success. Like you get up there, you just get all your brick and wood back that you need. You get a rift or a pad that puts you into like an amazing position like for endgame. It's like Island's really strong. But I think the aspect of like not promoting fights, the only way you can do that I think is when you have like ones that are a bit more random, like when we had caches and still like Island now, right, where it's like not guaranteed, so you can't condition it as much, right? The problem with forecast times being stable is like it's too easy to condition, so like the best fighters just get it free. I don't think that's a problem.
The meta we're in. I think it's the meta we're in. I think it's like Storm Surge and stuff. Like it's so risky right now to fight for a forecast tower or fight for an objective because you might get 2-3 pump tags in, you get like a 220 damage, you risk dying, and 220 damage doesn't mean shit in the current meta. Like that's not worth the mats expended, the risk, the time it takes to get there. Now your rotates are thrown off. I think it might be a deeper issue of just the meta right now does not reward changing up your playstyle whatsoever. Everyone's got the exact same surge route locked in every game unless the zone pulls really far one way. And even then, they have a different route and nothing can fit into that. I think if you had a better meta where like fighting was encouraged, whether you got more surge, better points for elims, or there was just some incentive other than the actual reward itself. Because if most teams tried to fight Clicks and Veno for forecast tower and grands, they're now dying to surge. They're either dying to Clicks and Veno or they're probably dying to surge. It's just not worth the risk, at least the way I see it.
Yeah, and you make a good point with like the meta thing as well. In that at the start of the season, so meta affects how good forecast is as well. Because at the start of the season, when we had fists right in the game, and fists were like just all the rave in comp, Veno and Clips having forecast tower wasn't as good because what would happen is that sometimes they would see zones ahead, and so you want to position yourself knowing the zone ahead. But it meant that sometimes they were putting themselves on congested side of zone just to play for the next zone. But then they're on congested side with fists and everyone has a fist around them and then they die. And like there was a lot of examples of that happening where like, so some like, it's so weird how like you can change one aspect of the game and everything rebalances. Like in theory, I think you just need to make it better. If you don't like how it is now, I think to make it better, you need a meta where like it's not as strong, whether that be like, you have like more pullback zones or some shit, or you just have like something where like actually just having the forecast itself is not as strong, or you just make it like a bit more random in who can actually get it. But even then, I think people would probably complain about that because it'd feel like a free win for some people. I don't know. It's weird. I don't really have too much of a problem with the forecast tower right now, though. I don't think.
I mean, also to add on to that, like it may just be NA with like the peer bot conditioning of teams being scared of other teams, but getting that zone like future in like you can set up ahead of time and spend far less mats than all the other teams. I just feel like that could be kind of unfair.
Yeah, I think it depends on the meta too for how much forecast is worth, like Levin just said. So I don't know. Mary, you've never really, like you said, you didn't go for Island when you won global stuff. You've never been a mid-map objective player again, despite being such a confident fighter. Is there a reason for that?
Too much risk. I mean, I think I went on Island one game of globals, and that's when like I was in the hole. Like I never fight for the flag or anything. Like it's just too much risk. It's like you fight for it, and there'll be times where you like lose more than you gain. Like you can go on an island with 6 minis, 3 bigs, and a team will fight you for it, and then like they have it. They're just winning the fight. Then you just went up there, lost everything. Yeah, you get some brick back, but it's like there's times where it's not worth it. I mean, if you're in the absolute hole, then it's worth it. Like I've done it a couple times.
Yeah.
But not too much.
I love how Mirror of all people says, before you go, I love how Mirror of all people says it's too much risk. This is like the
It's too
guy
much
who has
risk.
made his career out of taking risks in Fortnite, and he's like,
mid-game risk.
Island, too much risk, not for me.
It's
Yeah,
calculated risk. I take calculated risks,
true.
and that risk was
Calculated
not
risk, yeah.
that was not one of them.
You can't control it. That's I mean, there's not enough control around. Again, it's how the other team plays. Like I think like even with you, Day, like reverse 2K, like Surge Strike, just jumping on people, you still were doing it on edge of zone where you wouldn't get 50-50. If it dragged out, you still had this. Like you could control aspects. I feel like the Island you can't. There's pads, there's rift, there's everyone around you. The objective being something you can just sit on and die in zone over it if they really wanted to. You just can't control it. But I did want to throw this in here, and this is gonna be like a bit of a weird tangent. But I think one of the biggest issues with this is Surge, and I got a super unique suggestion in my chat, and I very rarely get these. Most suggestions we've talked about at least somewhat. Someone suggested in my chat that getting a kill should give you a bonus amount of Surge. So rather than just, you know, the 100 damage you do being the 100 Surge you get, for every kill, you maybe get 100 or 200 Surge. Like they could play around with the amount, but it would reward early and mid-game fighting more and being contested because it's not just the damage, it's the actual kill. And then when most people get their kills in endgame, it wouldn't affect things too much, but it would actually promote more risks in early and mid-game and kind of, you know, negate some of these issues we're talking about because it wouldn't completely mess up your Surge actually going for kills. Because the only way we've ever rewarded kills is just obviously loot, but again, most teams will be fully looted off their POI or the Elim points. But that gets a little bit weird because teams drop all their kills in endgame, gain a bunch of points. It doesn't really change that thing.
Or
I thought that was a really cool concept. I wanted your guys' take on it.
or big bonus is a way to reward kills.
I don't know about the big bonuses, but I think the Surge idea could be cool. I think that'd be interesting. Because then if a team's contested, it means something. Right now, you're conned. You both 50-50. You insta-wipe them. That's 200 damage. That's less than 2 DMR headshots. It ain't worth shit for the risk.
Yeah,
Where if maybe there was a bonus on kills, it would actually be nicer now. I don't know. I thought it was a unique idea. I was like, I'm going to bring that up on the next podcast. And I've read ahead, and we haven't got a Surge question. So
I like that idea in the aspects of this meta. Just like I feel like it would be so stupid for me to sit there with a DMR and tag a kid for like 30 damage and get 200 off of it. I think it'd be more like
I guess if you steal
kind
a
of
kill,
like
that could be a little
relying,
bit
like I can
cheesy.
yoink a kill and get 200 surge.
Okay.
But I do think what would fix the surge problem entirely, take out cactuses out of the game.
Obviously.
Take out scoped ARs, rewards trading. The thing is, what people don't understand about Fortnite competitive, people will bring up the Bucky surge trading and stuff and all that. That's when no one was trading. Now, would they do that now? Would they get banned? No. But
no.
With the way the game is going now, you're putting 4x scopes on it, thermal scopes, cactuses, POIs with 6 minis, 3 bigs, fizz extra. What do you do to compete? Because now, see, if it was bannable, right, what would you do? Would you rather run around and try and find legit surge when everyone else is sitting on a cactus elsewhere? You would just die to surge. I could get 3 kills, right? 200 damage each. 600 damage. I'm still below the first zone threshold or the second zone threshold surge. You can't do anything about it until you remove like the slurp plants and the mud season, the cactuses and the scoped ARs. Like the hammer season at Invitational, I did bad. I'll admit it. We got no zones, bad game plan, didn't play the game that much. But with the hammers, you could barely hit a tag with a hammer. But what I liked about it is if you got close to teams, you can fry them, and it rewards fighting, because if you get a kill, you get a fight, you're almost good for the game. Almost.
Yeah.
But then there's metas like where you have like a twin mag AR and POIs right next to each other with all the extra heals in the world, plus the ability to rotate the slurp plants. It's like, what do you expect? Like what does Fortnite expect when you're putting a plant 70 meters away from each other? Like that's the smart thing to do. It's the smart thing to do. So
I
think if they just added
like this, if they're gonna add scopes in, I think that if they scopes stay, I think it'd be cool. Obviously another meta, no, but I do want to hear your take on it. But yeah, it seems like you hate the surge trading meta as fucking much as the viewers apparently. God damn, I don't know anyone who likes it yet.
Yeah, no,
I haven't found
no
anyone who's liked this shit, but I don't want to make a whole nother podcast talking about surge again. So
I'm
happy to.
I think the idea is cool, like for what it's worth. Like I think that's cool, but yeah, it does seem flawed. I am on the train of they need to be getting rid of Storm Surge completely as a concept.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's a hot take. That is a hot take.
That'd be boring as fuck. But like reward Elims more, obviously, right? So it's not just get center, full box medal, like oh my god.
But even then, like if it was like that, then going center wouldn't be good. Because you know what I mean? It's like you never want to be doing what everyone else in the lobby is doing, right?
True.
I don't think you need Storm Surge. I think the fact that the past year and a half, even probably longer, you'd argue, the biggest skill gap in compared to Fortnite has been Storm Surge, and it's just this like, it's like this fake thing that's not real. It's not real. Storm Surge is literally not real. Like, we've made it. Like, it's literally not real. Like, they just made it one day, and they were like, the servers are like we can't have this many people in the game. The servers can't handle it. Let's just make something that is gonna. It's literally not real. Like, imagine explaining Storm Surge to someone who like played PUBG competitively. They'd be like, "What the fuck? What do you mean I have to do damage? I'll do what the fuck I want." Like, it's like it's not
they
real.
haven't got builds though. They haven't got builds, so they naturally die out like zero builds. Like zero builds doesn't need Surge, and it will naturally stay contained and exciting because they have to fight. But in builds, you don't have to fight. You can literally put up a wall between you and anyone you want.
Do when there's mid game objectives that like force you to fight to get them. And like the thing as well is that, again, doing this depends on like if servers are more stable. But you know, we like the reason this idea came, like the reason this came to my head this year was just like when they improved the servers. Like, I feel like we're going in a direction where it should be possible, and I'd like to see them do things to where we don't need Storm Surge. Yeah.
Ooh, sorry. I did think really quickly. I want to talk on this one for Rise, and then we'll stop on the Storm Surge topic if you guys are happy to. But Rise has said hot take, removing